All right, y'all. So I know Jason just might have some feelings about this story. So
Uh,
just a quick
I love this
um
story. This is one of my favorite stories of the day. This one and Todd's story are my favorite of the day.
yeah, so just a quick disclaimer on this one. So could a failed presidential campaign run by Ron DeSantis lead to the ultimate undoing of the Florida cannabis industry's progress? Now, usually I'm the one telling you guys to follow the money. On this one, CNN did the legwork, and it is a doozy. Um, why would the newly elected red state? Why would a newly elected red state governor, notorious for his disdain for cannabis, prioritize expanding access for medical consumers to smokable flower? So much that he'd make it the first thing that he signed into law when he came into power back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Could the stroke of Ron DeSantis's pen allowing for smokable flower in the Sunshine State to be, could that have been the cost that he paid for the Donald Trump endorsement that ultimately led to his victory in a long shot election? Follow the money, y'all.
Oh
There's a
boy,
lot of evidence that says it does.
I see what you're
So this
going.
story goes a bit further down the rabbit hole than most that we're privileged to discuss on High and Nine News. So, for sake of time, I'm just going to go straight to the meat of it and invite y'all to dig deeper into the whole thing on your own time. Where, Jason?
On our website at www.high9news.com.
You got it, because this shit is a lot. There's a lot of evidence, all provided by named sources on the record for this one. So let's dig into it. The one person claiming to have insight into why DeSantis went against his party to support more liberal use of medical marijuana is, drumroll please, Lev Parnas.
Get
If you
out
know
of here.
politics, it's If you know politics, it's a name that just might ring a bell. Parnas is the once well-connected Republican fundraiser, tight with Rudy Giuliani when Trump was president. He became a key figure in the first Trump impeachment, mainly regarding his work with yeah, mainly regarding his work with Giuliani searching for dirt on Joe Biden in Ukraine. He was also sentenced last year to 20 months in federal prison for unrelated campaign finance violations while trying to obtain marijuana licenses in other states and for defrauding investors in one of his companies to the tune of more than $2 million. But when DeSantis met him back in 2018, Parnas still had close ties with Trump's inner circle. As first reported by Reuters and the local CBS station in Miami earlier this year, Parnas has said that he was closer to DeSantis than the governor has publicly acknowledged. And that earlier in their relationship, DeSantis asked for his help in obtaining an endorsement from Trump. In an interview with CNN at his home in Boca Raton, Parnas said that he was initially unwilling to help because he perceived DeSantis as being unfriendly to business prospects. Parnas was looking to invest in medical marijuana after Florida's successful 2016 referendum, which made the drug more accessible. Here's what he said. I told him, you're on the other side of the fence on that, and you are against everything that I believe and I am trying to establish. Recounting their first meeting at the Trump International Hotel in D.C. But according to Parnas, when the two ran into each other at the hotel again later that month, DeSantis told Parnas he could be swayed into supporting more liberal marijuana policies if Parnas could deliver on an endorsement from Donald Trump. It opened the door, and we talked more about it until he assured me that he was going to be pro-cannabis. Parnas told CNN in a series of interviews about his interactions with DeSantis. DeSantis publicly expressed his support for legalized medical marijuana in June 2018, quote unquote, drain the swamp campaign event in Pensacola, at which he was joined by Matt Gaetz. 12 days later, Parnas donated $50,000 to DeSantis' political committee through a business named Global Energy Partners. Remember that, Jason?
Yep, I
The next
do.
day, Trump announced he was backing DeSantis for governor. This is what Trump said the very next day. He will be a great governor and has my full endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the next day. Parnas told CNN it should have been clear that to DeSantis that his help was contingent upon him being supportive of medical marijuana. I don't recall us having the exact conversation, like a quid pro quo type of situation, but the whole conversation was quid pro quo. CNN was unable to. to independently verify his account, but DeSantis has declined to answer detailed questions about his interaction with Parnas from the time period. The Trump campaign and spokesman for Giuliani did not respond to requests for comment. Following Parnas's legal woes, DeSantis returned the 50,000 contribution and downplayed their relationship, describing him as just like any other donor. But the text messages between Parnas and DeSantis, first reported by Reuters and received and reviewed by CNN, showed the two had communication about fundraising, with DeSantis at time asking Parnas to nudge Giuliani to post certain messages on Twitter. On election night, he and Parnas embraced in a celebratory hug as preliminary results showed DeSantis was victorious. Parnas was then a VIP at DeSantis's inauguration. He barely knew the guy, right? Parnas acknowledged others may have had Trump's ear about endorsing DeSantis. Multiple sources told CNN that Gates was one of them, but in his mind, there was a clear linkage. The reason why Ron DeSantis became governor of Florida is because of a little plant called cannabis. The story's phenomenal read, with direct ties with DeSantis to Matt Gates, to Dr. Jason Pirozzolo, the head of the Medical Association from Cannabis in Florida, State Representative Halsey Bashirs, the former chief financial officer at a family-owned small tree farm that later joined forces with two other nurseries to win one of a handful of coveted licenses created by the 2014 law to produce medical marijuana. That venture would soon become Trulieve, the company that ultimately took over the Florida state industry. Trulieve has invested over $40 million into the adult use initiative on Florida's 2024 ballot. That'll most likely be featuring a battered and bitter Ron DeSantis at the helm. With all this past cannabis cronies no longer in his corner and vice versa, what is to say Ron DeSantis will not pull a Kristi Noem and say, screw all y'all ain't smoking nothing. I'm Rico Lemete, the dopest dad on the street. Happy to follow these dollars. And I hope you guys read the rest of the story because it is a doozy. They name names and there are direct connections to all of it. What do you guys think about this? Meatball Ron. With all of Jason's favorite people doing dirt.
That's so crazy. I know pretty much every single person you named in that whole article.
Yes.
Really something to brag about.
That's right. I know lots of people, Yarrow. I'm a really big networker. You know what I mean?
You got to maybe re-examine your friend group.
I work with all people. I work with all people. I'm a people.
He's inclusive, if you will.
Yes, I'm very, very, very inclusive. But man,
and some Republicans.
This whole thing, they're trying to say that Lev Parnas is responsible for smokable flower in Florida.
Yes.
So they're saying that Ron DeSanctimonious is not capable of making a decision on his own. Is that what CNN is alleging?
Well, I mean,
we all know that's true anyway. So
yeah, the man is notoriously anti-cannabis. Said he doesn't like the smell of it.
He just doesn't like the smell of it. He's not anti-cannabis.
He's trying to poo-poo all over it whenever it's brought up on the national level or on
in all fairness,
level.
In all fairness, have you smelled the weed that they produce in Florida?
It is the first thing that they signed into law, that he signed into law.
I know,
as governor.
Yeah, and I know we helped on this. I'm aware of this. Yes, we were very excited when he signed this into law and allowed for smokable Florida.
Jason Beck.
Well, that's because
was Jason Beck at this meeting at Mar-a-Lago that went down?
I cannot confirm or deny, but I can tell you I've been to Mar-a-Lago many a times.
What happens in Mar-a-Lago probably stays in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, this notion that he can drain the swamp, first of all, coming from a governor who presides over geography that includes a lot of swampland, the environmentalist in me says, I don't know if he's talking about getting rid of corruption in Washington or he's just talking about not honoring the environment over there in Florida. I think if DeSantis wants to drain the swamp, the first thing he could do is just cut a 2-inch hole in the side of his head and turn to the left and pour out all those stupid thoughts that he thinks are policy positions. And that would be a good step forward.
But Yes, but we do want to thank Mr. Sam Romaine. He says Ronnie Boy won't be gutting the industry anytime soon. You can bet on that. And you know what? He's 100% right about that. You know why? Because his fees, his up fee just went in to where they're charging him $1 million or so bucks a year for their licensing fees. And so, yeah, they're definitely not going to be gutting this program anytime soon.
Big shout out, Sam. Thank you.
Yes. What you got to say on this, Amon?
I said Ron DeSantis is the biggest square ever. All right, let's not put anything cool related in this guy's hands.
Bro, he made weed smoke possible in Florida for patients.
Bro, this guy.
That's something to be commended. You guys are always all about making the bad the enemy of the good. You guys will never get over it.
No.
And Jason, I looked at that quote. The quote is, "Don't make perfect
anyone in the United States." Ron DeSantis and Hillary Clinton both need a fucking joint, please.
Oh,
please.
Man. What's that, Rico? What's the quote?
Ron DeSantis.
What's the quote?
The actual quote is, "Don't make perfect the enemy of the good." It's not, "Don't make bad the enemy of the good."
I like my version. My version is way better. Okay, my version is way better. It encompasses more. It's more inclusive.
Okay.
Yes.
So.
I just want to chime in for 1 second.
Go for it,
I've been a DeSantis fan per se, but I've been disappointed.
You've been
in
a
his
DeSantis fan.
I'm not a fan. I'm not even a fan of his.
You're a fanboy.
You're right, but I've been disappointed in his campaign. I think that he could have done a much better job of humanizing himself, relating to the populace, and taking stands on things and trying to channel his inner policy wonk instead of just his soundbite bitch. And so I do think that he could have done a lot better of a job to date in trying to connect with the rest of the country. And I just think that he has some room for improvement in terms of how he runs his campaign. I'd like to see him do better in his campaigning. I would.
He's not going to do
more
better.
of Ron DeSantis and less of the Trump clone that he pretends to be.
He's not.
He's a douche. He's in way over his head. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And, he got elected because he was buddies with Trump. Right? I mean,
that's not why he got elected.
If he's unrelatable.
It's exactly why he got elected.
No.
He's uncomfortable in everything he does, right? He just looks
He makes
uncomfortable. Scum.
No?
Oh, you guys are crazy. He's one of the greatest governors Florida has had. 9 out of 10 people in Florida support him.
Well, it used to be Rick Scott, so anything's better than Rick Scott.
I mean,
right?
Rick Scott is actually a really great guy.
But he's a douche as a governor and a politician.
I don't know.
He might be a really nice guy.
He's a really great guy.
Play cards with.
Yeah, we've hung out a few times. You know what I mean? He's got a bald head just like you, Todd.
He does.
Yeah, you guys got the same.
He uses it for the wrong thing, though.
All about.
Oh man, you guys! I can't believe you guys are giving him so much grief. But shout out to Ron DeSanctimonious.
But he just bring the swamp. Like, come up with your own taglines to talk about getting.
How many other adjectives do you have for drain?
Dude, he's got zero original thought. He goes to where he thinks he's going to grab the MAGA voter, and that's how he runs his fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
He has no idea what he's doing. He's got a blank look on his face every time you see him.
Yep.
I do need a pair of them white boots that he had on during the hurricane.
Those were hot.
Oh, bro, his boots keep trending because they're all like oversized.
The problem is those boots were not made for walking.
Hey, Jason, you should actually look to sue him because he is not have any of he's not handicapped. He does not have any.
Oh, and he's putting lifts on his shoes,
and he has
orthopedic lifts
in his boots.
Look, as this
event
guy on the panel, I'm not going to judge anybody who whatever they feel they need to do to look taller. I just would say this: I wish that Ron had put forth a plan for America, a path towards prosperity, touted his accomplishments in Florida, and said, "Here's what I plan on doing for the rest of the country." And with that, not reuse the same sorry talking points or taglines that aren't original in any way and that are recycled from the election cycle from 4 years ago. Just be original. I wish Ron would just let his hair down a little bit, even if that means there's parts that we don't like. I just don't feel like he's being authentic in front of the camera and just being whoever he really is.
He's not.
I would gladly vote I'll gladly vote for any alternative to Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if they're conservative or not. If they simply put out some path for America, but that's not what Republicans are doing. Republicans are just
they are putting it out. They're putting an American first agenda out.
There's no ideas, bro. There's literally no ideas. There's no campaign.
Bring back infrastructure to America.
A lot of cliches.
You know what?
America first.
We're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna come back. You guys are just gonna run around in circles, chasing your tails.
America first.
No ideas.
America. Yeah.
America.
We need America commercial.